Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday, February 15, day after Valentine's Day here in Champaign, Illinois. You're joining me for the dogs barking. You can hear that, right? All right. Well, we are continuing today our playthrough of Letters from a Ghost Hunter, a 12-part series from the Deadbolt Mystery Society. The first time they've tried something like this. I think someone posted a question on one of the YouTube videos asking for advice about supernatural mystery games, and I told them that there aren't that many. Deadbolt Mystery Society is some of the best, one of the best companies at doing these supernatural games. But then I remembered there was a brand new series that we've been playing lately called Magnus Protocol Mysteries, and we played one and really liked it. We played one a couple days ago that I didn't love, so a little bit of a mixed bag. And they asked how Letters from a Ghost Hunter was going. They said they contacted Deadbolt Mystery Society, who said that they do plan to release this as a box, as a standalone box, which does make sense, and probably, I'm guessing, is going to be cheaper than the $100 and something that we have played to get it delivered once a week, plus or minus. We do finally we are a little bit ahead of the curve. So last week the letter didn't arrive in time. Now I've got letters 3 and 4, so we will be playing next Sunday as well. Anyway, I said it's too soon to know what we're going to think about this series. I do love the long-form nature of it, but it's been a little bit hit or miss in terms of a total experience. It feels like we're getting like little mini episodes. We will have to do a little bit of a recap since we missed last week. I don't remember everything very well, so we'll need to go back through the envelope and get ourselves back up to speed today. Let me check in with the chat, see if anyone wants to tell us about their plans for what they did for Valentine's Day. I went for a long walk, 10-mile walk with my wife around town. That's our quality time together. A little discussion of the dog barking stuff. It's a horrible house next door, and it's just no humans interact with the dogs. They just let the dogs out in their fenced yard, and the dogs have their own little fight for dominance with no humans involved. Marlene went fishing. Melissa worked. Annika says, we brought the PC into the living room. Let's talk about a couple other things before we get started today. In addition to the Magnus Protocols, we've been playing through some late night sessions of Etherfields, a board game with a mystery narrative set in a very surrealistic, dreamlike, creepy world. We'll probably be playing a little bit more of that each week until we give up or decide we're all in, but so far I'm liking it. I did post a final thoughts video that Greg and I recorded on Kinfire Chronicles, a long campaign game that it took us a couple months to play through. And just today, I was recording some tutorials for the New York Noir online map and search tools that I've been working on. If you haven't seen my design diary about New York Noir, do check that out, especially if you think you might be someone who would be interested in writing a case for us to play on the channel, or volunteering to help join the project. We can always use more volunteers. But anyway, I started writing some tutorials on how to use those new map and search tools, and those will probably go up today. Annika was saying she played video games all day with her significant other. Anything else to talk about before we get started today then? Are there other, occasionally I think, in general, it's tempting to get on and do more live streams more frequently. It is a very relaxing and fun thing to hang out with everyone. But then the competing interest there is, I think all of us should make sure we're doing our other projects, our other more productive projects. So there's that. And then I've been watching, I mean, you know that I cringe watch a bunch of stuff, but Rob Oren is just out of control. The amount of bullshit. But I was wondering, like, what else do you guys watch? Like, are there YouTube channels you guys watch and want to recommend? You should feel free to recommend stuff on this channel. On the Discord, someone was just posting on our Discord about a new roll and write sort of mystery game that they were creating and asked if it was okay to share it on the Discord. I said, of course, please. You guys should share more of the stuff you're working on. Oh, and Agona Romero says, I played with Anna and her friend one of her cases. Oh, that's wonderful. So Anna, one of our resident detectives who's been joining me for a while and has turned out to be a savant at writing cases, came into the Discord and said, I've got a friend who wants to playtest my case, but it would be nice if someone else joined her to playtest it with it. And I thought, boy, that would be really nice if she could find someone to play together that case. And it looks like Begona Romero joined for that. That's wonderful. Very few things are more satisfying than seeing you guys, viewers of the channel, get along well and interact with each other. We ate out, headed straight home. We spent the whole day wrapping our board games, putting on plastic covers. Wrapping our board games, putting on plastic covers. Is that a non-English way of saying you sleeved your cards, or are you talking about something else that I'm not familiar with? Groot says, I've been listening to Mockery Manor podcast. Season 4 releases this year, and Mockery Manor is on a cruise boat. Mockery Manor, of course, a famous satirical, humorous mystery podcast that made my top game of the year in 2025, which we played together on this channel. Melissa says, I can make recommendations for knitting and crochet channels. Otherwise, this is the only gaming channel I watch. Making progress on selling my plushies. That's terrific. Okay. I've got my tea. I've got my coffee with cacao beans in it. Here is our letter. Let's do a little bit of a recap to remember where we left off. So here was our letter, our last letter, letter number 2. Let me just see if I can't refresh my memory. And here are our notes. So what's our big picture? Our big picture is we have got a missing daughter. Our missing daughter, Nancy, went missing in an asylum while she was investigating it. And this is now many years later. She's not been found. Our friend is on the ground in this asylum where we're not. We're in a remote place. And our friend is a sort of ghost hunter, and he has stumbled onto a trail of our daughter, Nancy, who's left clues about where she was going before she disappeared. The heart of the mystery that Nancy was trying to figure out, that we think may be involved in her disappearance, is a serial killer named TikTok. And from what we can tell, this serial killer was either a worker at this sanatorium asylum or a patient. And in each of the previous letters we've gotten so far, we've gotten more details about the serial killer's true identity to help us rule people out. And that's what we've been tracking here in these notes. So in session 1, we're told that TikTok, the serial killer, is under 42. In session 2, we're told the killer is not inked, no tattoo. So that's what we think the nature of this game is. In each envelope, we're sort of learning about more suspects. For example, here is the person we knew we learned about. Carter Ennis, a nurse, 31 years old, 5'11", 175 black hair, brown eyes. No, can't tell if he has a tattoo. So we think that's how the progress of this game is going to be. We're going to get new suspects each week and new details to help us rule them out. Eventually, they'll converge. We've also got side characters that we're learning about, like the person who owns this sanitarium. We learned about the doctor who was sort of evil. And we've got a ghost talking to us, who was a code breaker in World War II named Arlo. And we also learned that the sanitarium was involved in some pharmaceutical weird drug that they were giving people. And a patient in room 164 who knew something about it and was being drugged to get rid of him. The other thing we're slowly uncovering over time is Nancy's cipher. We're figuring out a couple more. It's a arbitrary substitution cipher. We're figuring out a couple of the letters over time. So let's just look at our last letter. So I think this is actually from letter 1, but we combined it with this to find a message. And somewhere we must have written down what that message is. We did learn a little bit of a trick about not reading these letter summaries until the end, because they seem to give you hints. So maybe we could look at the hints now that we already solved just to remind ourselves. So it's just reminding us that we could figure out Nancy's code. We talked to the ghost Arlo, who told us he was a code breaker. Carter Ennis, that's our new suspect today. Last week, there were scratches under the morgue. We found out that the doctor here was involved in some evil stuff. The Deadpool, not my favorite Clint Eastwood movie. It's solid nonetheless. This sheet has nothing to do with that, despite the name. I wonder if any of the names on the list match up with anything or anybody we've learned about so far. So we learned that the mortician might have been killing people. And then more about patient 164, who knows about the drug trials and gave us that information. That's the person that Nancy contacts with here. He gave her a note saying, "Get me out of here," or something. "I'm not crazy. They're giving me drugs that are making me crazy." He's the guy who wrote her about the Neuraquel drug, and this was our message from our code-breaking ghost. And this was our Deadpool, where we found Arlo Hunt, the ghost that we are talking to. So I guess that's it. That was our previous letter. Is there anything I didn't mention from our previous letter? Cartwright is the name of the mortician. That was sort of evil. This was Arlo Hunt telling us he was a code breaker, telling us to check this area of room 164 patient. That's where we found the patient's note about the drugs. This is just a note that Janet Watkins was a person killed by the serial killer. Kevin Leclerc is the suspect from our first letter, and Carter Ennis is the suspect from our second letter, both workers, orderlies at the sanatorium. Here's our note about Angus Cartwright, the evil mortician. And the ghost was telling us about Lloyd Edelman. Was that the patient 164, or is that the patient's doctor? Or a different doctor who is evil? I can't remember. But we'll put this aside. All right, let's get started then with letter 3, and then we'll see if we need more reminders as we go. All right, let's just quickly look at what we've got. We've got a letter from our guy on the ground, another letter from Nancy. It looks like a nice summary of the serial killer's victims. Puzzle of some sort, another note of some sort. Another suspect, Franklin Betts, I see, and a floor plan. Okay. Let's start with the letter. We'll start with the letter, but not read the hints. Week number 3. Okay, this week we're in the laboratory, and do I ever have some interesting developments for you, old friend. But first, let me preface what I'm about to say with this. I am about to deliver some very compelling facts to you. That doesn't mean that you should allow your mind to take what I am about to reveal and jump to any conclusions. We don't know anything at all based on what I discovered. Not really. As you know, I'm fairly certain I have picked up the trail that Nancy left behind. She started at the Georgia O'Keeffe painting and has left notes in other places as the search has progressed. Patient 164 and Valewood Sanatorium are definitely at the center of it all. At this point, I've communicated with at least 3 spirits. One is a helpful spirit who was a codebreaker in World War II. That's Arlo Hunt. One is a former member of staff who may have been involved in whatever was going on here. The other is the female voice from the EVP who may have been a patient or staff member here. Last week, I checked out the morgue. You would think that might be one of the most haunted places of the property. I did get some activity, but it was pretty mild in my opinion. Based on some of the first-hand accounts of what all has been seen and experienced inside Valewood, the laboratory is a noted hotspot. Why is that, you might ask? Well, I have some theories on this, but I'm not ready to share them just yet. Not without more evidence. All I'm willing to say at the moment is we know that they were conducting human trials here on various things, all of which originated in the lab. I have done a lot more digging through old records, and I found out more about our first round of suspects. I think we need to know as much about these people as possible to determine whether or not they are guilty of anything. Nancy certainly deemed them worthy of investigation, which means so do I. I've also compiled some more information about this TikTok killer and the first 7 victims who were killed. The murders stopped when Valewood closed. and the victims all had ties to Valewood, so I think it's safe to say that the trail went cold when these doors closed. I think it's also safe to say that TikTok came from within Valewood. I've also gathered a few details about the other people in Nancy's group. At this point, we just need all the facts. We can determine what's relevant once we have all the information. I did what Nancy said in her last note and looked above the third ceiling tile in the lab. She left another message that I've copied for you. Also, much to my surprise, the lab computer still powered up when I tried it. Getting into it is a priority for me this week. Thankfully, our third suspect left himself a reminder note on logging in, which should prove helpful. Looks like the drug Neuroquel has something to do with this as well. Oh, and obviously, something here in Valewood is still keeping me from sending anything out electronically. No texts, no emails, nothing. I can only upload things to the cloud. For now, that will have to do. Elijah Nicholas. Okay, and so thoughts on last week's, this week's. All right, so we can read this because we've already figured out last week, but we don't want to read his notes on this week. Okay, thoughts and observations for last week's mailing. Wow, time flies when you're investigating a series of murders, a group disappearance, and an example of a multiple haunting. Here's a recap of last week's findings. Carter Ennis, we need to know more about this guy. Polaroid of scratches found around morgue table. Obviously, we figured out that this weird symbol on the wall of patient 164's room was the key to solving this. It gave us the name of the ghost from the call and response session. Polaroid of drawing inside the morgue locker. Classic ROT313 cipher from our favorite clown. You may need to research how this works. The Deadpool. One name in particular jumped out at me from this sheet. There aren't many people with that first name and only one on this list. Call and response, and now we know who this particular nasty ghost really is. Nancy note 2. The code here is less of a code and more of what I imagine it must feel like to write while heavily medicated. The words aren't so much words as they are phonetic sounds. When read aloud, this becomes something that can be understood. All right, so we're going to stop reading there, but basically it is telling us stuff that we figured out last week. Okay, so here is another note from our Arlo Hunt, the clown who's the code breaker. And on the other side is a message from signed Gretel. Okay, you found the ceiling tile I was referring to. Good job. I think this was this should be Nancy, right? A couple of things. The lab here at Valewood has some info. I know it. And Franklin Betts, I can't tell if he has any tattoos or not. He's a man of science, so I would assume he doesn't, or at least not that particular tattoo. But that doesn't mean I'm right. I need to try and find out. She's talking about this guy here. Franklin Betts, a chemist, 49 years old. We already know this guy is not TikTok, the serial killer, because TikTok was under 42, we're told. But he could be involved in this Neuroquel drug making people schizophrenic. Another thing, we tried to contact the spirit of the mortician that supposedly roams these halls. Lame. If he's here, he didn't show any sign that he was. He's more like the snortician, if you ask me. Of course, we still have our codebreaker ghost that's all too willing to give us some new puzzles to solve in the interest of helping. Honestly, would it be so hard to just get a straight answer for once? He says his full name is the key. We were once in the middle of a seance in the lab when all of a sudden one of the printers turned on and coughed up a sheet of letters. See the other side. I've cut it out and pasted it here. Yours truly, Gretel. P.S. The OR is next. Look underneath the surgical tools for my next communique. Okay, so this is from Nancy, and she's giving us more letters for her cipher over time. So it looks like, so she's signing it Gretel like Hansel and Gretel. And she's telling us, let's just make sure we're right here. Gretel, L goes to K. Yes, okay. So, but now we know that G goes to N. And we know that R goes to J. E goes to T. T goes to O. E goes to T again, and L goes to K, which we already knew. Okay, so we're figuring this out slowly. Now this one, he says it's from the clown. The clown is who we believe is Arlo Hunt, and she says that his full name is the key, and we just learned that his name is Arlo Hunt. So I don't know why I don't have my post-it things, but I do have this. So we think that Arlo Hunt is the key. So does that mean that we've got a Vinger cipher with, or sometimes called a key phrase cipher, where it's ARLOHUNT and we're adding these up? And look at this weird nature here. Why are these underlined? Why are these spaced out? If his full name is the key, it does make it sound like it's a key phrase cipher where we're adding A to the L, R to the B, and so on. And then you just keep going, like Arlo Hunt, ARLOHUNT, and then you repeat ARLOHUNT, and you just keep adding and adding and adding. It is weird, though, that these are underlined. It's weird that these are underlined. It's weird that there are gaps here. Any other clues about this? He says his full name is the key. All right. It's too hard to do this manually, but we'll go and use an online tool to see if it's a key phrase cipher, an engineer cipher. If not, we'll have to come back and figure out. It could be that we go down instead of left to right. I don't know. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. What these underlines is supposed to mean. It's possible that there's some other kind of thing going on where like L is the letter. Like if you wrote Arlo Hunt here and then said A and L, tells you how to shift all of the rest of these. It's just weird that they all have the same length except for this last line. All right, well, let's put that aside for now. Anything jump out about this guy's photograph? Not really. Let's see what else we got. We've got a double-page entry about the serial killer and his first 7 victims. Victim 1, Harold Minton, age 58, senior psychiatrist, found slumped at his desk during an overnight shift. Initially ruled a heart attack, later autopsy revealed faint ligature marks hidden beneath his collar. His wall clock had been carefully opened and jammed, frozen at 3:17 a.m. Connection: oversaw experimental time perception therapy sessions. Evelyn Cross was a long-term patient. Discovered in a recreation room. Surveillance footage mysteriously skipped 6 minutes. She was found seated peacefully. A broken pocket watch lay beneath her chair. Reported obsessive fears about running out of time. So you can see this TikTok killer is always messing with clocks in some form. An orderly, Marcus Bell, night shift orderly, found in the supply closet, door locked from inside, no signs of struggle. His digital wristwatch had been forcibly removed and placed on the floor, battery removed. Known for falsifying time logs and skipping patient checks. So he's killing people related to time in some fashion? That's weird. Dr. Lillian Shore, she was a neurologist, collapsed in the medical wing hallway. Claimed to have seen a man counting seconds. Days earlier, her watch stopped mid-step at 3:17 a.m. 3:17 a.m. 3:17 a.m. Counting seconds, what does that mean? Publicly dismissed patient complaints about hallucinations involving ticking sounds. Samuel Price was a former watchmaker found in his room during morning rounds. Room filled with dismantled clocks arranged in neat rows. Cause of death misidentified as sleep apnea. Chain marks only visible under UV light. Built the pocket watch, later identified as TikTok's weapon. Do we know about that? Andrea Holt, nurse, 29, intake nurse, found unconscious near the intake desk, pronounced dead at hospital. Details: she had just processed a transfer patient whose file was later erased. Altered admission times to cover understaffing violations. Then we have Leonard Weiss, age 67, a former institution director, found in a private room during a voluntary evaluation. Declared natural causes. However, investigation found an antique pocket watch placed carefully on his chest, chain neatly coiled. His connection is he approved decades of unethical treatments and falsified records. Wow, this is a very deep thing. A patient that had their records erased, people being killed at the same time, people being killed for being involved in time. All right, persons of interest about regarding the serial killer. Kevin LeCourt, that's our person from letter 1. Kevin is the kind of man who blends into the background by design, a ghost in a place filled with them. As an orderly at the sanitarium, he's learned that being unnoticed is often the safest way to move through long, fluorescent lit corridors filled with other people suffering. He's lean, quietly strong, and efficient in his movements. Someone who knows how to guide a patient down a hallway without drawing attention. Kevin took the job for the stability, but stayed because he believes structure can keep chaos at bay. I feel like I am going slightly insane from the dog barking. Kevin took the job for the stability. He follows rules closely, sometimes too closely, finds comfort in routines. Medication rounds, meal deliveries, nightly bed checks. Routine is strength, and from it, Kevin draws the resolve he needs to do his job well. Despite his professional exterior, Kevin carries a quiet unease. He's seen enough to know sanity can be fragile, and he occasionally wonders how thin the line really is between caretaker and patient. He prides himself on doing his job well, yet there are moments late at night when the halls are empty, when he feels like the building is watching him as closely as he watches everyone else. Kevin is superstitious to a fault and is convinced that there are ghosts in Valewood. Based on what I'm finding here, he isn't wrong. Yet the one thing that fills me with unease is why someone so well regarded would even be considered a suspect in something like this, added to the list of unanswered questions. Then we have Carter Ennis from last week. Carter is a steady presence in the sanitarium, calm, professional, and practiced at keeping his emotions in check. As a nurse, he's often the first point of real human contact for patients, handling everything from medication administration to crisis response. He carries himself with quiet confidence, his posture relaxed but alert, like someone who's learned to expect the unexpected. In his line of work, learning that lesson has become essential. Unlike some of the staff, Carter didn't stumble into the job. He chose it. He believes care matters, even in a place most people would rather forget exists. He has a measured way of speaking that can de-escalate tense situations. Patients tend to trust him quickly, sometimes more than is healthy. Carter listens even when he shouldn't and remembers things that others dismiss. That empathy comes at a cost. Carter takes his work home with him, replaying conversations and questioning decisions long after his shift ends. He struggles with the unspoken rules of the institution, especially when policy clashes with what he feels is right. Though outwardly composed, there's a quiet strain beneath the surface, an integral tug-of-war between compassion and survival in a system that rarely rewards either. Like Kevin Leclerc, there is nothing to indicate he would be capable of serial murder. But then again, I guess you could ask Ted Bundy's neighbors the same questions about him, and they'd tell you the same thing. He seemed like such a nice man. Who knows what the truth really is? And then Franklin Betts, who is the guy from today. Franklin Betts has spent most of his life in laboratories. As the sanitarium's chemist, he oversees medication formulation, compound testing, and quality control, operating mostly out of a windowless lab that smells faintly of antiseptic and solvents. He prefers it that way. The lab makes sense. People rarely do. Once considered promising in academic circles, Franklin's career took a quieter turn after a series of professional disappointments he never discusses. He insists that the sanitarium work is temporary, though he's been here longer than many of the senior staff. He's meticulous to the point of obsession, keeping detailed handwritten notes and double-checking every dosage himself, even when automation would suffice. Franklin is polite but distant, speaking in careful, measured sentences. His eyes are sharp and analytical, always observing, always calculating. He believes strongly in chemical balance, both in medicine and in the human mind, and sometimes talks about patients as if they are equations waiting to be solved. Whether this mindset makes him exceptionally effective or quietly dangerous depends on who you ask. I'm not ruling out either option at the moment. Nancy considered him a suspect, and so do I. This is obviously being written by our present-day ghost hunter guy. Jansen, Sherry, Kate, and Richard. These are the people that are in Nancy's group, were in Nancy's group at the time Nancy went disappeared. They were all in the sanitarium. Nancy mentioned all these names in her first note. At this point, I haven't found any last names or additional information about them. I'm not entirely sure that they ever made it back from the Valewood trip. You would know that better than me, did they? Or are they missing like Nancy? Surely this would be a fact you would think to include if you knew. But I don't want to assume anything. Yet a group disappearance would raise lots of flags, right? I think this is also an angle worth pursuing. I'll provide updates as I find out more. It would be nice to hear from the people Nancy was with when she went missing. Keep your eye open for anyone with like clocks or obsession with clocks. We can't see if he has a clock or a wristwatch. All right, so that's this page about TikTok's victims and our suspect. Anything else jump out to you about these victims? Who killed with the clock stopped at 3:17? That's very weird. 3:17. Something significant about that time or that number? And then we've got a bunch of people killed because they're researching time. This guy built a watch that TikTok used as a weapon. Doctors and nurses, but mostly doctors and nurses and workers, but then a couple of patients. This patient didn't seem to do anything wrong, right? Like a couple of people look like they could be punished for doing things. But this woman, she was discovered in the recreation room. She was afraid of running out of time. She's not being punished for anything. Room number 317, you think? I don't know. All right, what's this? In ghost hunting, an ovilus is a word-generating device. Takes environmental readings like EMF fluctuations, temperature changes, and sometimes vibration, and maps those values to a built-in dictionary. In a way, it acts like a speak and spell for ghosts. When the readings spike or shift, the device spits out a word or words on a screen or through audio. Mine seems to be malfunctioning. Here is a list of what it said. So he ran this device in this room, and it popped out this. Let's try to understand this better. He's got a word-generating device. It just monitors the room for temperature, whatever, and pops out words from a dictionary. Mine seems to be malfunctioning. Here's a list of what it said. So it looks like it's all a list of rooms. But if it's just giving us a list of rooms, it's phrased very weirdly. Like, where is he running this device? Or is this not a puzzle and we scan this and we get to see what it said? Here is a list of what it said. That's weird. So, I mean, it's in these groups. I don't know what that's trying to convey or even how to understand this. Like, why are there... I wish this was explained better, what this is. Like, where was this run? Is this a list of everything that popped out in one room during one session or multiple rooms? It's pretty darn confusing what it's trying to say. I don't like that, but maybe we'll scan this and it'll explain. Is anyone grasping something here that I'm not? Let's see if the magnifying glasses shows anything in the pill bottles. I don't think we're going to be able to read that, but we could check that later. I don't like how, like, this is supposed to be some sort of puzzle, but this explanation should be better about what we're looking at. Here's a list of what it said. Why are there 3 columns? Why is this a short column? Did this all appear on one screen? Did it appear sequentially? Is this a scan in a single room? And why is the scan in a room giving us a list of all rooms? That's pretty irritating, but we'll QR code that and see what it tells us. Here's a sheet that I guess is presumably the part where he's saying that he wants to get into this guy's password computer, which still booted up. And he says, is it this where? Somewhere he said this guy's computer booted up and he wants to get into it. And the guy wrote a note about his password. So this is going to be the note. In case I forget my computer password. And now here's his note. He says, 4 experimental compounds used in the compounding of Neuroquel, Axiom, Boreal, Celsius, and Delta, were synthesized last night. Each compound has a color, a state of matter, and a storage temperature. Known facts. Each compound has one unique value in each category. Here are the colors, here are the states, here are the temperatures. Okay, so it's a constraint satisfaction little puzzle. We have to figure out about the 4 compounds, Axiom, Boreal, Celsius, and Delta. We have to find the color of each one, the state of matter of each one, and the storage temperature of each one. They're all unique, is what it's saying. And then when we figure those out using this constraint satisfaction rule set, then we can unlock his computer. Colors by temp, coldest to hottest. So I guess it's trying to say, even though colors have temperatures, it doesn't want that. It wants us to rank the compounds by temperature and then read off their colors. And that's going to be the password to his computer, although I don't see what QR code we're supposed to scan to try to answer this. Maybe we don't. Here is the last physical item that we'll look at. So it's a map of the place. It does seem like perhaps this is one of these things where this would give us some sort of spatial code, like if they're in groups. Patient room 4, nurses station, and bath 5. Why have I gotten rid of all my stuff? So let's do this 3 easy one though. All of my cubes and stuff are all put away. Patient room 4, nurses station, and bath 5. Let's just look at what those look like. Patient room 4. If these are grouped, there's patient room 4. There's the nurses station, and here's bath 5. So is this going to be one of these spatial puzzles? Like that's an L. And then are each of these going to be spelling out a different letter? Unfortunately, all of my... Well, maybe we could do it. Let's see what we've got here. Let's try a hard one, and then maybe we'll know if we're on the right track. Treatment room 1, treatment room 2. There's 1. There's 2. Bath 6. Patient room 3. Operating room. Recreation room. Treatment room 1. Okay, so this is clearly what we're doing. This is clearly what we're doing. So we have LO. We're probably going to get another O here, is what I would have to guess. Cafeteria, foyer, and waiting room. Cafeteria, foyer, waiting area, kitchen, cafeteria. LOO. Now we're going to get a K here, surely. Okay. Cafeteria, foyer, hall 1. Cafeteria, foyer, hall 1. It's probably like here. Kitchen. Hall 1. Waiting area. That's a K. All right. So it says look, LOOK. This is going to be probably in, let's just try it, sunroom and treatment room 4. Sunroom, treatment room. One, 2. There's our treatment room 4. I don't think it matters. It's going to be look in or look on. Oh, treatment room 1. That's just like that. This is going to be probably N. Nurses station here. Patient room 4. Patient room 1. Patient room 6. There's our N. Look in. And here's the one we care about. So it would have been nice to be writing with a marker that could get erased easily, but we're not. But we only have 2 more words here. Bath. Well, let's do it with another sheet. Okay, so look in. Okay, our next 2 words are going to tell us where to look. Bath 4. Outdoor porch. screened-in porch, bath 3, screened-in porch, exam room, and intake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we're looking at an E. Look in E. This is going to be an R, right? Look in the ER. Bath 2. Here. Kitchen. Walk-in freezer. Staff room 2. Hall 2. Doctor's office 2. So look in the ER. ER would be our emergency room. Or is it OR, which would be the operating room? Exam room, ER. I think that's what we're being told. The ER, the exam room. Okay, so I think probably this is a puzzle for us to answer. And this device is just giving us a list of rooms, which we spatially used to write out, look in the ER. All right, let's go ahead and try that right now. Unless I got lazy about some of my letters, I think that is what it was trying to say. Now, what does it want from us here? Let's see. Where do you search? Do you think it wants the letters or it wants the full thing? Let's try exam room. EXAMROOM. Looks like that was it. It was easy enough. Can we get rid of this? Can we get rid of the keyboard? It was easy enough to find the exam room and search it, but I wasn't sure what I was looking for. At one point, I just started searching in places that wouldn't be obvious, and I eventually ended up finding a spell book behind a loose baseboard. What would a spell book be doing in a sanitarium? Why was it hidden? What was it used for? Who did it belong to? I don't have the answers to any of these things, but I suspect that we will learn more as the investigation progresses. I will research the book in more detail soon. One more item of note. There was a scrap of paper inside the book that contained a series of numbers. Those numbers were as follows. And then he says, I'm sure this relates to something inside the book itself. That means maybe that's a little tip that we can't solve it yet. So we're going to say spell book in the ER. And we're going to write down these numbers, although it would be nice to take a screenshot in case we need to. 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, 13. 15, 19, 21, 24, 26, and 27, 32, 34, 36, 37, 41, 43, 45, 48, 50, 52, 55, 58, 62, 64, 55, 58, 62, 64, 68, and 72. It's kind of weird. I mean, these aren't arbitrary numbers. They're in an order. They feel like they're mostly every 2 or so, and then jumping occasionally by 1 or more. Weird. It's weird how patterned they are. Up by 2, up by 1, up by 3, up by 1, up by 2, up by 2, up by 2, up by 4, up by 3, by 3, by 2, by 1, by 5. Weird. And a spell book. What does it say on there? Looks like it's AI to me, AI text. But who knows? Oh, we can download it. Okay, yes, let's download it then. All right, so we've made use of the floor plan. We've solved this puzzle. We've gotten the spell book. We have not solved this puzzle. And we haven't solved this. So we've got 2 more puzzles to solve, but no place to put the answers. No place to put the answers if we figure them out. Okay, there is a QR code at the bottom of the message. So presumably when we finish these, presumably we will be able to provide that answer, and we're avoiding reading the bottom of this because we're afraid it may give us clues that we might want to solve ourselves here. Let's work on this together first, but perhaps we need to take a break first. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we are back. Let's check in with the chat, see how everyone is doing. Any theories here? Some theories about how to decode this code. Annika says, would it be useful to create a list of suspects? And Melissa says, I think that's what the Polaroids are for, to keep a running list with photos. Yes, I think that's right. So I have now gotten out the Polaroids and we'll keep them in our binder as we get them. Here are the three we've seen in order with their demographics that we can use to eliminate them. We could use the magnifier to see if to look on the pill bottles. Yes, we could do that. Let's do the things that we know are obvious looking at us, though, and that's these two. These look like they are separate. This is the one that looks most likely for us to tackle it. Let's see how to do this. Let's think about this one. We've got three compounds. Axiom, Boreal, Celsius, and Delta. Those are the key, those are the terms, the names of the four compounds. And then each compound has a color, a state of matter, a storage temperature, and they're all unique. So we don't know which one is color red, but one of them is red. One is blue. One is green. And one is clear. And then one is solid. One is liquid. One is a gas. And one is a gel. And then in terms of where they're stored, one is -20, one is 0, one is 20, and one is 80. All right, and so we're trying to figure out which is which. I wonder if we might even cut these up to help us arrange them, but let's just try to make some notes separately. So those are our things. All right. The gas must be stored at -20. So we know whatever is gas is also at -20. Green is stored at 20. So you know that the gas is not green, right? Boreal is blue and not a gel. Boreal matches to blue. And it's also not a gel. The solid is not red and not at 90. So the solid is not red and not stored at 80 degrees. Let's use the same syntax for all of these. Not a gel. Okay. And then axiom is a solid. Meaning it's not red. Not 80, but we already knew that it was stored at 20. We know the green is stored at 20, so we also know now that it's green based on this information. Boreal is higher temp than delta, lower than Celsius. So boreal temp is higher than delta, but lower than Celsius. clear compound is not a liquid. Okay. Running out of space here. Gel is at 80 degrees. Clear is not a liquid. Oh, I see, I missed one. Delta is not liquid and not a gel. Okay, let's see what we can figure out here. Let's just make use of these. First of all, we have axiom. We know is solid. Let's do these in our proper order. We know axiom is solid, 20 degrees, and green. Axiom is green, solid, and 20 degrees, which means we're done with green, we're done with axiom, we're done with solid, and we're done with our 20 degrees. That makes use of this. And makes use of this. Assuming I haven't done anything wrong, which you are going to tell me. Okay. So that's our first one we've got. Okay, what else can we, what's our next low-hanging fruit here? Boreal is blue. Let's do it this way. Let's make our columns. Celsius. The proper way to do this is with a matrix where we could just cross off all, where we could write down all possibilities and cross them off. But I don't think it's going to be so complex that we need it. Boreal is blue. So we've got rid of, guess we don't need to have all these. Okay, Boreal is blue. Nothing else can be blue. We know it's not a gel and it's not a solid. So it's either a liquid or a gas. We don't know which of those. It's not a gel and it's not a solid. So I'm just going to mark that off because we've taken that into account. Solid is not red and not 80 degrees. That's fine. But here, we know that Boreal is less temperature than Celsius. That means it can't be at 80, because 80 is the highest. So we know the Boreal is not at 80, which means it has to be 0 or negative 20. All we have is negative 20, 0. We know it's not 80. But we also know it's bigger than delta, so it can't be the lowest temperature. So that means that Boreal has to be 0. That's the only thing left for it. Liquid gas. Why do we know it's not a gel? We know it's not a gel. Okay. Gel is at 80. That's fine. Delta is not a liquid, not a gel, and not a solid. So delta has to be the gas. Not a liquid, not a gel, not a solid. Delta has to be the gas. If that's true, then we know Boreal has to be a liquid. cross off the liquid, we can cross off the 0, we can cross off the gas. That means Celsius has to be the gel. Boreal is a blue liquid at 0, so we finished Boreal, and we finished Axiom. All right. The gas is at -20, so we know this is at -20. That means Celsius has to be 80. So we finished the temperatures. Let's see. The boreal temperature, which is 0, is bigger than delta, which is -20. Celsius is bigger than, okay, we've made use of this. The clear is not a liquid. It doesn't really help us here. The gel is at 80. Okay, we've already got the gel. And we've made use of that. We've made use of that. The solid, we've already made use of that. The gas is at -20. We've made use of that. The only thing that's left for us is the color here. I wonder if I did something wrong with color. This could be clear. This could be clear. I feel like I must have done something wrong to get the color. Clear compound is not a liquid. That doesn't help us. Celsius is red. Oh, there we go. Okay, that leaves us only green. Did we not write down that Celsius is red? I guess I missed writing that one down. Okay, so here's what I've calculated. Any disagreements? So if this is our solution, then to get the password, unlock colors by temperature, coldest to hottest. I have green twice. I do have green twice. This is the one we just filled in, isn't it? What was the other color? This was supposed to be our remaining color. Oh, this is our clear. Thank you. Okay. All right, so going from coldest to hottest, we have coldest is clear. I guess we should put this on a different sheet. So to answer this key, clear is our coldest. Next coldest is our boreal, which is blue. Next coldest is our axiom, which is green. And our warmest is Celsius, which is red. So according to me, this is the unlock code. Unless we've made some mistake. Any disagreement about this? Any disagreement about the solution, and any disagreement about unlocking it by listing the colors going from coldest to warmest? Okay. So we think we've solved this code, which we think we're going to get asked for in our QR code. So our next step before we enter this, though, is to look at this. This is the trickier one of the group today. Let's spend a little bit of time talking through this for a second. Here's the context. We still have our code breaker Ghost. He says his full name is the key, and we know his name is Arlo Hunt. The printer turned on, coughed up a sheet of letters. All right, so Arlo Hunt is the key, he says, and here is the coughed up sheet of letters. Now, let's just look at this for a second and see what we can observe. What are the odd things that jump out? The first odd thing is that this top row of letters is all underlined. That does seem to suggest that we should read from top to bottom. Otherwise, why would it be underlined? What else do you observe? If you look at these letters, there's lots of E's. That would kind of suggest that it's not some kind of key phrase cipher. Like, why are we having letters in their normal English frequencies with so many E's and O's? That would be unexpected if it was just a shifting cipher. On the other hand, it's not true. So now another possibility is that, like, you could circle letters in the name Arlo Hunt. And then the other very weird thing are these gaps. How do you make sense of that? How would you make sense of that? What kind of theory could you come up with a code where you'd have these gaps? That is very strange. That is very strange. I have a hard time imagining a code where you get those gaps. I suppose another common thing you would do is you'd count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 15, 16. So a natural thing to do would be not try to figure anything out, but try to apply a vinegary cipher where you're adding to each letter A-R-L-O. A-R-L-O. I think it seems like maybe the smart thing to do is, before you overthink it, to try to add A-R-L-O to this or this and see if you get what looks like a word. I'd be inclined to do that, except that I don't like having to deal with the tablet and those online tools, but that would be the only real way to do it. But it'll be nice to think it out instead of experiment it out. The other possibility would be to just get rid of the ARLO and see what you got left. Something like that. That would leave you too many letters, though. I'm finding this distribution of letters very suspicious, though. And then the other thing we could do is we could look at the what? We could look at the rest of the letter for hints. So if we wanted to do this, is that a Q or an O? An O. LBO. If we read it across, NAM. Can't really tell if that's a Q or an O. That looks a little suspiciously like a word. TPHR, TPHR, GUO. Now that doesn't look like a word. Okay. And if we go down instead of across, LUOHR or TTFEH. That doesn't look like anything. All right. Well, in a way, that's better because it would be a little annoying if that's what kind of code this was. All right. Are the letters in the word name all in the top row? A, there's no ARLOHUNT. You're quite right. They are all there. Do you think it's just one of those things where we're getting rid of the letters? And then what we have left is our message? All right, let's try it. A R L O H U N T. Are they in every row? No, certainly not. But then what do we get? B O M P G. What about here as well? What if we spell Arlo Hunt here? Do we have all the letters to do that? No, there's no A here. We can only do it in this top row. There's only 16 here. Is it possible that we look in these columns and get a letter from each column? Surely this is going to come into play here. The first letter was a Y, so could this be this column and first row, meaning Y? Then R would be L. That doesn't work. This is surely too big a coincidence. So this is definitely part of our what if another possibility is we don't have to get all the letters in each row. We just look for all the ones that are. So the H, the U, another U, the L, the N, the O, the H, and then we'd have some letters left. Would we only be looking for the letters left? Is that what we could do? Like we cross off the U, the H, the U, the N, the L, the O's. Like, are we going to end up with after we cross these out, like there's no O, cross off the N's, but we leave the D, the W, cross off the T's, we leave the K. We leave all the letters left. Are we going to get something? Doesn't look like it. OINOBOMP. This doesn't seem right, but we're getting there. We're getting there. This is prone to error, though. 3 E's. Okay, well, that's a clue, right? Like, you're definitely not leaving those 3 E's and reading them in a row. But you could end up reading down, but then B and P and M don't form a sequence. So that's not quite right. Feels like we're on the right trail, though. Let's see if the chat has figured it out. No. Okay. I wish there was a better marker here. Okay. We're on the right trail here. It's clearly significant that all of the letters in his name are in the first row. Let's try it again. Nicer to have this scanned and printed. Okay. In fact, maybe I can get away with So we could number A, R, L, O, H, U, N, T. We could just be crossing off letters that aren't involved, but that doesn't make much sense, does it? I mean, whatever message we get, it's going to be a message formed by letters not in the name Arlo Hunt. That's too many, that's too restrictive an alphabet. But it could be the opposite. We could end up crossing off every letter in his name, and the letters that remain form a message. But when we tried to do that before, we got 3 E's in a row horizontally and weird combinations QI vertically. So that didn't seem right. And we still don't have a theory for why there are these gaps. You might be tempted to say, okay, start with the A for the 1 and then skip a certain number of letters to get our message. A, skip 1 letter to get our message. A, D, M, no. A, O, none of that seems right. L, O, L, O, R, D, E, O, T, T, L, O, R, D, Ward, E. I don't quite see it. All right, let's see. The third top letter is not an O, it's a Q. Okay, let's say it is a Q. I think that makes sense because then here is our O. Okay. Couldn't the letters that remain on the top line after crossing out Arlo Hunt be the real keyword? Well, I don't see it, and I'm not sure. I mean, that seems too complicated. But Rob thinks he's figured it out. So we've spent enough time on it. Let's have Rob try to explain his theory of how it works. If you had to guess, you'd guess that you are reading down, probably starting with this column, if I had to guess. Maybe even not using this letter. There's an N, has an N in its column. The L doesn't have an L in its column. There goes that theory. Okay, look at the letter below the top line in the order of the Arlo Hunt letters. Okay. So Y-O-U, that's a good catch. Y-O-U-S-H-O-U-L. All right, I think you've got it. So we were right to pay attention to the order of the letters, and we're just reading off below it. Y-O-U-S-H-U-L. So you should, okay, so our next one is going back down to the, okay, so Rob got it. That's very good. Okay, so it's you should, and then we're doing it again. You should. And we're just continuing to go. You should. So what's the answer for why this looks the way it does? Because when we get to the 8th letter, there is not going to be any 8th letter. It's going to end at the 7th letter. Okay, you should. And then L O O K. You should look I N T. And then we cycle around to the O into, and then we've got T H E. Good work, Rob. T H E N A M N A M. E. That's that row done. Into the name, and now we start our new row at the first column again. M O R R I S. Morris C O. And now we're cycling back to our A. O K D O E. I feel like this is one of these things prone to errors, and I feel like we're skipping lines and stuff. Kind of painful. Maybe we need to start circling these. you should look at the name Morris. So where did we get that? MORRISCO, and we're here, CO. And we circle back around to here. That's our AOK TIC TO. Now we're circling back around to the C, K, D, O, P, S, T, H. And we're circling back down. Boy, this is just a little annoying that I have to keep doing this. I, S, F, O, R, F, O, R, H, I, M. Does this for him. Okay, I gotta keep going, halfway there. T, H, E, T, I, M, E. The time. And we have A, C, H, W, A, C, H, W, A, C, H, W, A, T, C, H. What's happened here? T, H, E, T, I, M, E. The time does this for him. A, C, H. This is exactly why these things are painful. Like, why am I having to do this with my life? A, C, H, W, A, T, C, H. Okay, let's just keep going. And we start with an S, S, C, O, E. T S I S S. I G N I G N I F I F I C A N B T I C K B O C K I S. This is one of these things that would be a lot easier if you had two people, one to write down and one to read off, but we don't. TikTok is not a P A. Oh, he's not a patient, huh? P P A T I E N T. Okay, that's kind of exhausting. This is what I recommend game designers don't do. Like, make a code that is hard to figure out, but once you figure out, you don't have to spend an hour running it, prone for error. There is nothing to be gained by having it be so long and have it be so cumbersome. Okay, so I guess we must have missed an E somewhere. So it's saying the time each watch stops is significant. TikTok is not a patient. Okay, you should look into the name Morris. Morris Cook? Was that a C here? Morris Cook? TikTok does this for him. And then he's saying the time each watch stops is significant. TikTok is not a patient. So I guess we've got a bunch of clues here. So TikTok, not a patient. That was the first piece of information. The second piece of information is stop time of victims is significant. That is the part we already observed about the 317. And then Morris, let's make sure it was really Morris Cook. And does it for him. Morris Cook. Okay, was it really Morris Cook? We had two S's. I don't want to get that wrong is all. It was M-O-R We've got to make sure this name is right, otherwise it's going to come back and bite us. Look into the name. I want to make sure we've got that right. Was it M O R R I S C O O K okay, Morris Cook. Okay. All right. So that was kind of painful, but we got it done. So now we can read the second part of this letter and see what hints it gives us, and then QR code to get into his computer. This week's mailing. Okay, Franklin Betts, the chemist, aka Suspect 3, the map of Bellwood Sanitarium, notes on TikTok's victims. These are just a list of items. Computer unlock, NutriQuel synthesis. I think I have everything I need to do this. This is a little hint. Look, this has to tie to the map. Trace, that was what we traced and got the ER. Nancy note 3, I'll bet some of these underlined letters at the top of each column spell something when placed in the right order. Once I figure out the password to his computer, I'll upload an image of what I see to the cloud. In the meantime, see if you can crack the password. Okay, so let's do all that. All right, what is the computer password? It was colors by temperature. So clear, blue, green, red, we think. That was a while ago we did that. All right, looks like we got that right. And what do we see? Let's download it. So look, on his computer is that weird symbol we've seen. And it's a message to Jeremiah McClinton, the owner of this place. Subject danger. Jeremiah, you and I have known each other for years. You are well aware I am a man of science, which is why this email is so difficult to write. I'm growing more and more convinced there is something otherworldly here at Valewood. I'm also convinced it is evil. Please do not laugh at me. This isn't a prank or a hoax. I'm completely serious. I've been scratched on 2 occasions, and am in fear of my life. I know I'm not the first that something like this has happened to. Please call a priest or someone trained in these matters. If you want to know more about what happened, you know where to find me. I'm working on a new method of synthesizing NeuroQuel for Blackspire. Signed, Frank. Okay, he's been scratched twice. So it's letter number 3. Frank, our chemist. Frank Betts. Scratched twice, and he thinks something evil is going on here. And we know he's synthesizing the NeuroQuel, which we think is involved somehow. Anything else on this screen or anything of importance to us? Like I see a cup down there. I mean, I see the image on the back of this login. Seems important. He was also working on the drug. Well, we knew that. We're pretty sure we knew that. We knew Blackspire is this company that is paying for them to research this drug that they're giving to people. So I think that's it for us. We didn't need this message about Morris Cook, but we're going to learn about Morris Cook later. I don't think we know how to deal with the time 317 being significant yet. And this little page is the hint that tells us we've done everything we need to do. Right? It's not mentioning anything else for us to do. So I think we're done. Doesn't the screensaver match the card image from a previous letter? Yes, that's what I was saying, that we can see that the screensaver is that weird symbol. So that is definitely significant. The group wanted to ahead of time. So we've got a bunch of stuff that we haven't made use of yet, like the numbers and the name. There was some interest in seeing if we could magnify glass the pill bottles. We also haven't used the, I don't think there's any way to see anything here. I mean, I don't think, we know it's Neuroquell. Yeah, there's nothing to zoom in here. We haven't tried to blacklight anything. We could try to see if there's any blacklight writing anywhere. I don't see any. And we figured out the rest of these, so I don't think there's anything else for us to do here. I suppose we could try to see if there's any markings on the map that could be important. Doesn't look like it. And we did figure this out already, so I don't think so. All right, well, we're done for today. A little bit of a long session, 2 hours. Most of it spent decoding the cipher once we figured out the code. Good work to Rob for figuring out that. The channel wants to see the suspects one last time before we move along. Our last clue said that TikTok is not a patient, so we do think he's one of these orderlies, one of the workers here, and here is our collection in the order we met them. Well, this guy's got the symbol on his arm. But we know he's not TikTok because TikTok is not inked. TikTok does not have a tattoo. So we think we can eliminate him right away. But why does he have this screensaver? What does that mean? And this guy thinks there's evil in here. He's probably not TikTok. The really weird thing about today's letters was the 317 death. But we don't know what that means, and it's not time for us to know what that means yet. One of the things that struck me when we played the Magnus Protocol case a couple days ago was how important it is for a good mystery game, for one that you can really sink your teeth into and enjoy, how important it is to leave facts that the players can't explain and understand and let them linger with that for a while. So one of the things this case is doing well is it's leaving us with facts we can't make sense of yet. What is the 317? What is with the tattoo? What's the relationship with this company, Blackspire? What is TikTok motivated by? Why is he so obsessed with time? Is there a supernatural element? All things we don't yet know. But I'll see you next week, and we'll learn a little more. See you next time.
Bye.